Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast. I'm Ewan Graf, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Thiele.
On episode 198, it's a Disney week, well, a D23 week. So much announced, such little time, which is why Walt Disney froze his head. And this just in, Marvel did not make enough money last year, thus Disney not made enough money last year, thus another year goes by, he will not be regenerated because they have not invented that technology. Such a shame.
Coming soon to your multiplex, though. We can't wait for the unveiling of that, lifelike popcorn bucket. I watched the Perch comedy Jackpot starring John Cena and Awkwafina, a moving doc about a father-daughter prison program called Daughters, and prepared myself for our main review by rewatching Alien and Aliens. And Lachlan did the same, but with two different movies, with Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
This week, we'll be covering the latest in that long-running series, Alien, and this week we are covering Alien Romulus. And I can tell you for a fact this is going to be an interesting week because Ewan, spoiler, really likes Alien Romulus. And yes. I am yet to give it a rating because I haven't found the time to articulate my thoughts. So throughout this episode, I'm probably going to rant quite a bit, and I'm going to kind of give my live how I get to my rating score. And I can tell you I'm not going to be as favorable towards it because I like conflict, and that will make this episode exciting. So this week we're covering Alien Romulus.
Trigger warning, white boys yapping.
They play that at the start of every podcast ever. What the fuck are you talking about?
We are professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Hello there.
Which actually,
did you
this
get
is
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
There's some news. There's a whole bunch of news that we teased last week that was about to be announced, but we record on Friday, so the over the weekend news of D23 is far behind us in the news cycle. Probably 3 other presidential candidates have almost gotten shot. We got a new vice president in the States, and the yen has gone up and down since then. It's just stuff has happened is what I'm trying to say. So Lachlan, there's a shit ton that they announced at this trailers. There was stuff that's coming out later this year. That's basically the showcase for the trailers that they had for Moana 2, for Mufasa. Snow White is next year. Agatha All Along, I think, is still this year or early next year. Skeleton Crew is in November. Percy Jackson goes into production for season 2. One thing there was interesting. I've seen all the TikTok stuff of intro in the first season and second season, and his voice just dropped by 2 octaves. It's pretty funny. There's a shit ton of sequels that were announced for Frozen 3, Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5. We'll definitely talk about that. Incredibles 3, the aforementioned Moana 2, and the prequel Lion King Mufasa. And then there were also some original stuff from Disney Animation, from Pixar with Hoppers and Elio. And Disney has their Snow White remake, I guess. But let's kick it off here before we get to Marvel and the Star Wars and more Pixar stuff. Out of the just mainline Disney animation and Disney, we're redoing a movie that we've done 30 years before, and we're bringing them now it's with real people. That's the description of the movies that Disney does, I guess, at this point. Looking at this, what stood out to you? Obviously Toy Story 5, right? That's got to be up on your radar. Do you mind another sequel? Apparently, where it's about them going up against the attention span of iPad kids,
which is 2 seconds. So it's just every 2 seconds. I don't want to play with you anymore. I don't want to play with you anymore. Look, I made the joke at the start about Frozen Head, Walt Disney, because it feels like they're just trying to make a lot of money in the next couple of years because they are going really hard on sequels, right? Frozen 3, Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3, Moana 2, all of those have a number next to it, not just, Hoppers or Elo, which is just the first in a new IP, for example. Moana, not Moana 2, forgive me, Mufasa is a great example of not a, direct sequel, but a prequel, but it is part of a known IP. Live action Snow White, known IP. Agatha All Along, spin-off. Skeleton Crew, part of Star Wars, kind of a spin-off, right? Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2. These are all sequels, spin-offs, and there are 2 originals there, which kind of indicates to me that they're probably just going to want to try to make as much money as possible, because Frozen 3, also I should not just Frozen 3, but Frozen, Zootopia, Toy Story, Incredibles are some of their most profitable series of all time, especially with the likes of Frozen, right? And you can say the same thing.
I think
with
Incredibles 2 made I think Incredibles 2 made way more than the first one, and I think it also like was really quickly got over like $1 billion. So yeah, those are crazy money makers.
And it just feels like they're doing this because they're trying to do a safe bet right now. They're not trying to expand into new IPs.
Does Disney not do a safe bet though? Like, is my when have they ever in the last 20 years?
Doing safe bets with the last maybe phase of Marvel.
I thought they were. Well, they're not. Yeah, but then it's not like they're trying anything out, or like they're just like they're careless. Like it comes up off as like arrogant and entitled that like, oh, we have the security that like people would just show up, and then people didn't show up. I don't really see that as like trying out new stuff. Yeah, what do you think about like the Marvel stuff that they've announced? There's so Daredevil stuff. Like, do you care?
So I don't fucking care. Because I'm on such thin ice with Marvel right now that they could announce the next 30 years. You know the joke in The Boys where they're like, we're going to announce the next 65 phases all here live reactions.
Yeah.
I love that because it's kind of what I'm like with Marvel right now, being like, fuck, this is just too much. I'm just going to take the Marvel movies as they come at this stage. I have no care because I didn't watch the Daredevil Netflix series.
Yeah.
So I don't care that they're coming back with the original characters. I don't care that John Barenthal's coming back as the Punisher. I don't care about What If Season 3, X-Men 97. I haven't watched X-Men 97, so I shouldn't say I don't care about that. But I don't have fucking care for any of this Marvel stuff coming out right now. I will just watch it if it seems interesting to me, but this, out of all of it, like, that's the most boring to me, other than how disappointing Star Wars was.
Yeah, there wasn't really much like news on these other 2 movies that are supposedly in the works. All we got is that Mando and Grogu is still like moving forward. Skeleton Crew, and then that season 2 of Andor. I don't know if they're done filming, but I don't think they gave an actual release date for that one other than 2025. Will take place over 4 years. And it's like, okay, well, we had that with the last season as well. It was like told in 3 or 4 chapters that had like time jumps between them. It's not really, I don't know how interesting that is. And then there's also Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. I haven't looked at the trailer for that one, but I see Jar Jar Binks is in it. As I think, is that's just pure fan service that they're doing?
Yeah.
Because you're the Lego expert of the podcast.
Yeah, of course. I haven't bought a Lego, actually. I came close to buying a Lego set recently.
There you go. And that's our Lego guy.
The Melbourne airport has a Lego store in it. And I was like very close to pulling the trigger on some stuff in there. But I don't know why they had to decide to do Lego Star Wars. You know, it's super weird because they're happy to be experimental with non-live action Star Wars. It's wild. They're just like,
visions, hey, stuff like that. Yeah,
if we want to do a live action Star Wars, let's just remake the original trilogy, but then fuck it. But then when it comes to any kind of animated Star Wars, I'm talking about the movies, I'm talking about the sequels in that case, right? And some of the Disney Plus series. And then if they go, oh, we're going to make an animated Star Wars thing, do whatever you want. Lego? Yeah.
I think Lego is one of the companies that really is trying to push itself into the discussion of entertainment. So I think a lot of it coming from them really trying to insert themselves like beyond the game adaptations that they've done for the last 15 years, more into the movie space. And I think it's like definitely like, I think a year and a half ago, I read a report about like how Lego is positioning themselves to do more of these productions, and you can finally see that like that comes to fruition. If it's like, because the biopic about Pharrell Williams is a documentary, right? It's not a fictionalized animation thing. It's basically just there to visualize stuff. And I think that's an interesting idea. That idea of like just, oh, let's just make it Lego is gonna run dry sooner than later though, because it's ultimately just an animation style and not really inherently like its own, apart from like a visual core, it's not much more beyond that.
Oh my god. So guess how much money Lego made last year in US freedom dollars?
127 Dwayne Johnsons.
So 127 Dwayne Johnsons. How much did it cost to have him in a movie?
Well, I was more maybe thinking about his net worth, not...
He earns around 20 million per film, at least minimum.
Oh wait, I definitely over-exaggerated. Apparently his net worth is 800 million. 127 times that would be...
Anyway, it was something
would
like...
be a bit.
It was something like... I think that
30 billion?
It was like 1.9 billion or something.
Ah, okay. I just imagined the numbers to be bigger, but I mean, yeah.
$1 billion is $1 billion.
Nah, I mean, isn't I like in revenue in 1 year or what? Like
yeah, 1.9.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not bad. In profit or just in
I think that was profit. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. Might have been total revenue.
Well, that's different. But I guess Lego making money, making big moves. The Pixar stuff, you know, we talked about Toy Story already. What is promising is that it is going to be helmed by Andrew Stanton, who did WALL-E. And there was some rumors, I don't know where they came from though, that like an army of 50 Buzz Lightyear toys are stuck in a malfunctioning play mode. Doesn't that happen in the second Toy Story movie? There's like a bunch of like toys, Buzz Lightyear toys that attacked him.
A bunch of Buzz Lightyears, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that we talked about that. Toy Story 5. I mean, they didn't butcher the fourth one. So I'm like, I feel like this is fine, and bringing them into modernity of like, okay, how do like these types of toys still, like, what's their place now that everything has become digital? It can be very pandering, but at the core of like a Pixar movie, it could be pretty sweet as well, you know, parenting and shit.
How wild would it be if Woody sees a kid playing as Woody in Fortnite on his iPad?
Is Woody in Fortnite? They definitely are coming to Fortnite.
I think they're probably coming to Fortnite 5. At some point, right?
I feel like the funny thing is we could have done an entire section of news that would have been about the same with all the announcements of what like Disney character is coming into. There was so much on my timeline. I'm like, who cares? Who the fuck cares?
Me.
Well, I guess people care.
We should care. Maybe we should care.
Yeah. Maybe we would have more
download Fortnite right now, and you should buy as many of the characters as you can. No. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the idea of the toys combating against iPad kids.
But they're cooked. They're cooked.
There's no chance, right?
Yeah, obviously. So it's gonna be like, I don't know. Maybe there's like a weird kid that is still around playing with them, and then he gets bullied about like still. I don't know. They could go into a lot of directions, and I think making it contemporary with this could be interesting. They could make it like too pandering and kind of annoying, but it's Pixar, and I feel like they toe that line quite well to not pander too much, while still like aggressively pandering. But yeah, there's also Hoppers. So the premise here is interesting. It follows a girl who transfers her mind into a robot beaver to infiltrate the animal kingdom. And I just right, that sounds so odd.
Do you think they're running out of ideas?
Just like, oh, how about we go inside them robots? And then there's also, we go inside the mind of someone. We got to go into mind, and then we infiltrate, and they're hopping. Why is it called Hoppers? I guess, I don't know if it also came out, but I heard some things about that. Like, she's able to go to different animals. Or I don't know if she is just the beaver. It's an interesting premise. I feel like this is perfect. This is the type of stuff that works great in animation, could never work in live action. Even if it's like not amazing, I'm glad it's getting made by Pixar. Could be quite fun. And for Elio, we already got trailers. That's out, I think, early next year in Q2. But they also have the upcoming, like, that baseball show. The first, like, animated series that is premiering over on Disney Plus. Blanking on it right now what it's called, but it's basically from the perspective of different players for each episode. That could really solidify like what they do in the future with like series that is maybe like a maybe lesser ideas that don't really work in movie form. But they're also doing a spin-off with Dream Productions, a series set inside between Inside Out 1 and 2, and follows that like movie studio inside Riley's mind as she makes up her dreams. Yeah, Lachlan, do you think this is enough to set a series around? I know in the second one they definitely made a point in like showing a couple more of those characters, and it felt like, okay, why do we introduce so many here? Felt like they definitely planned for this. I like it, right? It's fun, right?
I like that little moment. I think it's an interesting idea because you can do anything with it, right? It's not like they're toys and you're kind of restricted of what you can do with toys, right? Like how many stories can you tell with toys that come to life? Is perfect because it's like each episode maybe is like a different story, a different dream that they have to come up with, and that gives you ample opportunities to do whatever you want and explore so many different ideas, and I think that's fantastic for them. But seriously, how many stories can you tell of fucking little toys that come alive? Like how?
There's
how many?
A spoon now. There's a spoon, Lachlan.
There's a fucking spoon. What about fish?
A spoon, and also
how many stories of fish can you tell?
Well, if they keep forgetting, and us as audience members also forget, you can keep on finding Dory.
What's Nemo's dad's name again? Melvin?
Yeah, the funny thing is about like clownfish, I learned this recently that like if clownfish they can change their sex. So what would have naturally happened after his mother died, he would have had sex with Nemo to procreate, because they also do incest.
You need to be locked up. If Marlin
loses that's nature,
another
man.
Fish, I am calling protective services on him, because my God, he's lost so many people, and if he loses one more, I'm calling child protective services, because Jesus. But how many stories can you tell a fish? Like Dream Productions is a perfect example of you can just do almost anything.
I mean, you'll take another Shark Tale, so.
I'll take another Shark Tale. Let's get Will Smith back in here.
Definitely. Wasn't the point of like Toy Story 4 that Woody wants to leave, and then I guess he's back? So that's another thing of like, you undercutting maybe the conclusions that like a series gets towards by making another sequel and justifying it. I don't really care though, because ultimately it's like entertainment. It's fine. It's like, it's not that the stakes aren't high. So, but yeah, there's a bunch of miscellaneous stuff as well. There's a stage musical adaptation of The Greatest Showman. I still haven't seen that movie. There's a film with Dwayne Johnson in the works. The Rock is in Monster Jam, a movie about monster truck drivers for Disney. So I don't know if that means it's about monster truck drivers who drive for Disney, or if it's a movie about monster truck drivers for Disney, in production for Disney. I have no clue. Either way, I'll take it. That sounds interesting. And then another thing that was quite fun and looked better than maybe a lot of people anticipated is Tron Ares. The soundtrack was confirmed to be going to be done by Nine Inch Nails, who more recently have gone by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross a bit more. They picked up some Oscar wins and nominations, and they got some great stuff that they can cook up. And I don't think there's a release date for Tron Ares. We're getting that next year in October. And it was also Freakia Friday, which was probably a bit of that was one of the weirder announcements, but people ate it up, because at D23 people just like clap for anything. But imagine they bring out the head of Walt Disney, like they would have gone crazy. It's Freakia Friday, but one of them is just locked into the head of Walt Disney, and it's actually like an inside job to leak that. But no, that's Lindsay Lohan and
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
You're welcome. That was up here. Didn't even use the internet.
Yeah, I used the internet. I'm sorry. Lachlan, you excited for Monster Jam or Tron Ares? I haven't seen any of the Tron films.
I'm excited.
So I don't know connection to that yet.
I will eat Tron up any day. However, what I will say is what I read was.
You will say?
I think they really wanted Daft Punk back, because fuck me, that's one of the best soundtracks ever.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard the soundtrack and I can confirm that.
I put it up there with Oblivion, which is M83, who did Oblivion, which is one of the best ones. But like Tron, Legacy, like shit film.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen it, but I'll probably, I guess, once Tron comes out, Ares, I'll have a look through the original, because it's one of like the first.
It was ahead of its time.
Computer animated things. Even the sequel, or you mean the OG?
All of them. I think that Tron was ahead of its time. I think its sequels were ahead of its time. I think Legacy was ahead of its time. I think that there are so many fantastic elements to Legacy. I think we're just let down by there are fantastic elements to Legacy. And this one's obviously going to be great because it has Jared Leto in it.
Of course, yeah. Because, everything he touches turns to either vampire or gold.
I thought it was Morbius. I don't have it in reach of me. I've only got Dune in reach of me.
Yeah. So if you look at the release date schedule for a selected number of the Disney productions, we got Agatha All Along on September 18th, Moana 2, November 27th, Star Wars Skeleton Crew on December 3rd, Win or Lose, that's that Pixar series, on December 6th, Snow White in March of 2023 next year. There's also like a Wizard of Waverly Place sequel series that's still coming out this year. We got in summer 2025 the Lilo and Stitch live action remake, where we only got to see a little clip of of Lilo or Stitch, because it's of Stitch, right? Stitch is the little alien guy. I still have not seen the original movie. I'm sorry, we talked about this a while ago, but they haven't shown anything that outside of just like the creature thing, which they definitely have to soon. Tron Ares at the end of the year in October, and then a bunch of titles that don't have a release date yet, but just are coming out next year at some point, with Andor Season 2, Percy Jackson, the Olympian Season 2, Freaky or Friday, and then at the end of the year we are getting Avatar, Fire, and Ash. So that's another big announcement on December 20. In December of 2025, Mandalorian and Grogu in May 2026, Toy Story 5 already in summer 2026. I thought that might be a couple more years away. And then Frozen in 2027, third one there. And then Incredibles 3, Hopper, Stream Productions, Zootopia 2, all of that stuff, Monster Jam, Ellie are all to be determined. But let's circle back on that Avatar, Fire and Ash announcement, because with that came a couple more things, including that I guess James Cameron is going to be directing the fourth and fifth one, after he initially said he's going to do 2 and 3, and then he's probably going to let someone else take over. And he basically had like a quote of like, unless he gets hit by a truck or like he dies, he's determined to like I guess do it himself. Yeah, and also Michelle Yeoh was cast in the film. She won't appear until the fourth film, and then also James Cameron is working on a new Terminator project, but everything's kind of in secret there. Yeah, but what do you think about like him doing 4 and 5?
I think it's probably for the best, because I think before the episode we were both talking about how we have the thought of, hey, didn't he say he didn't want to do it? And I found one of the quotes where it's like, the Avatar films themselves are all kind of all-consuming. I've got some other things I'm developing as well that are exciting. I think eventually over time, I don't know if that's after 3 or after 4, I want to pass the baton on to a director that I trust to take over so that I can go do other stuff that I'm interested in, or maybe not, I don't know. And to be fair, like, Cameron's not the youngest of blokes, so I wouldn't be surprised if he would want to not spend the next 8 years doing 3, 4, and 5 and do something else, such as the, what was it, Terminator one that he had? What was in the news as well? Like, he has the Terminator movie in the works. And I think that, hey man, if you want to do some other stuff, do some other stuff. So at this stage, him wanting to do Avatar 4 and 5 is probably for the best, to keep it all within the one family. Like, could you imagine if we, like, ignoring Aliens, like, imagine Aliens didn't happen from James Cameron, but could you imagine what would happen if we had the whole Alien series by Ridley Scott?
But it's no, I can't imagine. It's like so hard to imagine, because Ridley is not a first name basis here, not interested in that type of stuff. Like, he needed to do something different with Prometheus to get back back into it. And
but
even
name,
now,
name
when
another saga
yeah.
that's not actually. Well, I was going to say another saga of this many films that are directed by the same person, and then you have. Well, I was going to say you have something like Lord of the Rings, but not all the Terminator movies are James Cameron, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a handoff that, like, I feel like The Hobbit is made without Peter Jackson. Like it doesn't need him there.
Wait. Stop. You said The Hobbit, right?
Yeah.
So you saying someone else could have made the Hobbit movies?
Yeah, I think so. Because I don't
That's
know.
A hot take.
It feels a bit more. Yeah, because I don't think they're really good. Like, I don't know. And I think Peter Jackson really worked better within Lord of the Rings. And if they like need to stretch a single book to 3 movies, I feel like you could have had someone else do that and give Peter Jackson something more fun.
He has to pass it on. James Cameron, knock on wood, dies. Someone has to direct Avatar 4 and 5. Who is it?
Yeah.
Who do we give it to?
Ridley Scott. Because he's absolutely hated. And make Harrison Ford the lead. So it's like the most abysmal press tour ever. It's funny. He recently did the 4 favorites and he named Blade Runner as one of his 4 favoriits. It's like,
yeah, because of how inspirational it was.
He said like it's so influential overall. I was like, damn, man. that is
he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I mean, he's not. No, and it is underappreciated, even with the amount of critical praise. I'm also skirting your question. I don't know who the fuck would take on the next Avatar films. Maybe Sean Levi, who's perfect for that stuff, or the Russo brothers. I don't have a serious answer though, because I don't know if anyone else operates on that same, like, who would be interested in it as well and operates on the same kind of scale. Because like the tie over for Tom, maybe what's his name, Joseph Krasinski, actually.
Yeah, you could do Joseph Krasinski.
Sorry, I didn't mean I mean the Top Gun Maverick director. Sorry, I didn't. Not Jim from The Office. What's no Krasinski? No, I was okay. John Krasinski. Okay, I was right. I thought I had a mix up between, like, maybe him, because he's also someone who's slightly pushing something on how stuff is filmed onto the forefront. Like, he's doing it with F1 again after he did it with Top Gun Maverick. And I feel like you kind of need that type of obsession that also James Cameron has had his whole career to push like the visual and the technical side of filmmaking forward. And I feel like you need someone to do that, because it seems like, at least with all of these sequels, they're interested in something different other than the narrative. It is very much about like the nature and like atmosphere they can create. But I think Joseph Kosinski would be my pick. What do you have a pick? Peter Jackson?
Ron Howard.
No. Ron Howard? No, you're joking.
We give it to Ron
You're joking.
Howard.
No, Ron Howard is cooked. Dude, no.
He makes a fantastic film.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this. I'll take the heat if I can, but...
Whoa. Stop. Shh, stop.
Okay.
Stop. I'm not getting in trouble for you rubbling your mouth
never mind.
about a pre-release trailer.
Okay, fair. We'll cut it out.
Okay? My God.
I'll censor... Right, I guess I can't.
We know what it looks
Fair.
like, because I was going to pull this out later, but this has some incredible behind-the-scenes stuff, right? Incredible behind-the-scenes stuff. Have you seen what the original Predator looks like? You know what it looks like, right? The red suit, the red lobster?
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Red Lobster. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh, you mean like the adaptation of it? Oh, Jesus, what the fuck is this? Yeah, no, we'll have a visual on screen. That is a lobster, yeah. But again, I don't want to get us in trouble, so I can't really talk about it.
I don't want you to get me in trouble. You need to be locked up. You need to be locked up.
I do need to be locked for. Well, speaking of people needing to be locked up, what about Joaquin Pheonix? What did he do?
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah. So after bringing a project about like an intense gay romance film set in the 30s to Todd Haynes, one of my favorite filmmakers currently working, Joaquin Pheonix dropped out of the production only 5 days ahead of the start of it all, leaving the studio, all of the people who were signed on to do this a bit in shambles and out of potentially millions of dollars, and there might be a potential loss with incoming. And yeah, I mean, Joaquin Pheonix stock is taking a nosedive. Already speculated that like no matter how good he is in Joker 2, it's gonna have to overcome a lot to get like praise in the industry, because it feels like pretty universally it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? It seems to be the reaction to this. I can't help but sympathize with the guy, because he is someone who's always like super anxious, and you can see that there's a lot of care that he puts into something. But the other cherry on top is that he also brought this project to them, and then he's dropping out of it after they came onto it. We definitely need a bit more details as this develops, because he hasn't made like a statement or anything yet. But yeah, what do you think about this, Lachlan?
This could be all part of the performance.
He's walking down the stairs right now. Continuous. It's like on the N64, Super Mario 64. He's on the chairs and they're never ending. But it's a Joker stairs.
We don't know.
That's the performance.
It could be. It could be. Yeah, he drops out, but he hasn't actually dropped out. Who knows? Yeah, it's a. If I'm honest, I agree. I think it's a bit of a dick move. I think that it's. Look, it's unfortunate that he may have suffered like a bit of a cold feet, but yeah, I mean, there has to be something there, right? Like this could be his Brokeback Mountain moment.
What do you mean?
Like it's a role that is challenging, and it's a role that is often looked at as a beautiful performance.
Yeah, and it's like the the critique of a straight actor. What do you mean? Wait, who's listed as well? Or what do you say? No, that's Queer. He's doing Queer, which is another film, I guess, with a straight actor playing a gay one.
Oh, that's what's his name? Luca Guadagnino's.
Luca Guadagnino, yeah. Which I tried to find a copy of the novel, and I was not able to. Like I was trying to get a hard copy of it. It was so hard, and it was hard to get it, because it was like they were like, oh yeah, we reprinting them in 3 months. So I because I wanted to read the book before I head to Venice. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like because we don't have a reason for why he dropped out, it's hard to like speculate, and there's no point in it. It's just like the fact remains this is shitty for everyone else involved. But yeah, there's also a lot of pressure on the lead character.
He's got 3 other films in post-production right now. One from Lynne Ramsay, Pawlowski. Oh, I'm going to butcher that one. Same director of Cold War.
Yeah, it's a Polish director.
And the other one, which will load very momentarily once my internet kicks back in, Eddington. And then Joker, of course, as well. And Ari Aster, that's probably super. Is that in post or pre? That's in post. Oh, that's going to be soon, apparently. But like he's got plenty of decently large projects from really big filmmakers on the way. So it's not like he needs this role, and maybe he wants to put his life into a different role. Yes, that's probably maybe a justification you could give him, but it's still a dick move, especially because they probably won't be able to find someone to replace him. All right, who do we replace him with? Chris Pratt.
No,
Chris Pratt is in.
Sure, I'd love to see him in 1930s. He'd stick out like a sore thumb. I don't think he stick out like, is that even, no wait, that are two sayings merged together. Never mind. But yeah, I hope this it feels like this project is probably dead, and Todd Haynes, like he's a great filmmaker, so I'm just looking forward to the next stuff. I hope he has another project coming up soon. Would be a pity if like this were to be like a good one that we are now missing out on. Really briefly, I just wanted to have a quick look at like IndieWire released like the top 100 films of the 2000s, and I have a letterbox list here, and just really quickly, Lachlan, I just wanted to compare maybe how much we've seen, maybe standouts, maybe some like surprising films that you see on the list. Mulholland Drive at number 3. Someone should get a counter up at like how many weeks in a row we talk about David Lynch and Mulholland Drive. But I haven't seen AI and Yi. Those are the spot number 1 and 2. I'm very happy about The Beaches of Agnes. I think Agnes Watt is an incredible filmmaker, and this was one of her last films. And it's incredible. We got Lost in Translation there. There Will Be Blood. Spirited Away is at number 10. But yeah, also some maybe smaller titles that I have not seen yet. Like, I haven't heard anything of, like, Offside. Any standouts to you, Lachlan?
Yeah, Spot 100 goes to Speed Racer in 2008, and I think that is a fantastic
That is an interesting one. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Have you seen it as, like, a childhood movie for you?
I fucking love this movie. This movie is...
Seems fun, yeah.
Unironically, people are giving it 5 stars, and it deserves the love.
Yeah, the Wachowski sisters, I guess when they can do some wacky shit, it's, you know, sometimes they cook. Battle Royale to me at number 99, I think is very valid. You know, to have that there, I think it's such an influential movie. 89, we got Casino Royale, and they also had like a list that came out later on with like the top 50 performances of the 2000s. And I think Daniel Craig was like on that list as well as 007. Which I found interesting. But there's some like the obvious films like Shaun of the Dead and Inglourious Basterds, Sigourney and the Royal Tenenbaums, Grizzly Man, Hunger.
A ton of international films on here that I have not seen, and
yeah, me too.
It is something that I really would like to put some time into, and go through and watch a whole bunch of them. And yeah, I know there's a ton of lists on Letterboxd in the stats settings with like the top 100 X and Y and Z, and I've got to pick one of these lists and just go through them because I haven't. Yeah,
I'm doing the fan ones.
I need to pick one because I mean the closest one I've got complete is the top box office Mojo 100 of all time. That's the closest I've got to complete. I've got 85% out of that, but I've only got 8% of Cannes Palme d'Or for winners, right? I've got 9 out of the 101, so yeah. I completed the box office one last year because I made a point of I guess doing that, and now I'm closing in on the top 250 fans, and it's fun too because like usually a lot of these films are actually worth seeing. It's a really nice curation, and I'll probably do like the IMDb top 250. Maybe the Letterboxd one is a bit more like there's a bit more international stuff on there, and I'll probably do like either this year or next year the Oscar Best Picture winners. It's one of the nice perks if you get like a shout out to Letterboxd, their pro Patreon status, because you get to have those fun little rings. You can even make like some yourselves. I made that as well for like I made one for the highest grossing films, like the top 1000. And it's interesting to see like how far along your process is. But in the Indiewire top 100s, because if you look at like when I start to watch a ton of films, that you also get to see that those in your stats. There's an increase in like the 2010s and then a huge bump in the 2020s of when I catch films that were released in that year. And even in the 2000s, I don't like have that many. Like my average is maybe around like 30 to 60 films that I've seen per year, roughly. And it obviously doesn't include like there's a ton of stuff that came out, and obviously a bunch of blind spots. I'm at 34% on that list. Like, on where are you at? 27.
Yeah, you're right up there as well. Take a look at it. I feel like lists are always fun. We never take them as like this is the end all be all of like this is the definitive list of like, oh, what's at spot number 1. It's just like a nice collection of inspirations of what maybe you could expand your watch list with. There's also a brief announcement of the Zurich Film Festival that has its 20th edition. I made a list for the first couple of titles that were announced to be screening there, including some films that I can already say that they're great, like Anora and Thelma are going to be playing there. We got Sundance is a Real Pain. We got a couple of Swiss titles like Landesverräter, William Tell, and Der Spitzname. So if you're interested in those, I guess, hey, and you speak, I guess you need to speak German. Yeah, I don't know if they're subtitled. Then those will be playing there. But to me, the most exciting thing is that we are getting Blitz, the new Steve McQueen film, that is not going to, I think, either TIFF or Venice. Venice for sure not, and then yeah, also not TIFF. And we're getting that, and I'm very happy about it. The new from Steve McQueen, and then Conclave that isn't going to Venice but going to TIFF. I'm happy that I'll get to see that in October. So that festival is happening from the 3rd to the 13th this year. So I'll keep updating that list. It's also linked below. Try to, I guess, get your tickets. I think they are going on sale in September, but we'll talk a bit more once we get the full program. We only have about like a dozen titles that were announced already. Lastly, for bigger news items, the sad news that Gena Rowlands has died, although she has lived a very long and influential life at age 94. She is maybe the only film that I've seen her in, unfortunately, so far is in The Notebook, where she plays like the older version of Rachel McAdams. But she also was in a ton of John Cassavetes films, and like I think for you, Lachlan, is also a big blind spot. I don't know if you've seen any of Cassavetes' films, but she was in A Woman Under the Influence, Opening Night, Shadows, Faces, Gloria, and Love Stream. Basically everything that Cassavetes directed. She was also in Night on Earth from Jim Jarmusch, and I really wanted to make time to catch a couple of those films before this week's recording, but I just wasn't able to fit any of them in. But over the next couple of weeks, I do plan to maybe have a bit of a look at her career, because people have been singing her praises with her passing, just like how great of a noteworthy of a person for film she was. Let's talk about a couple of quick news items, Lachlan.
The Gentleman has been renewed for a second season on Netflix.
Lakeith Stanfield is in final talks to star in Lynne Ramsay's next film, Die, My Love, alongside Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson. The film follows a mother who struggles to maintain her sanity as she battles with psychosis.
Netflix is on the bandwagon of just greenlighting things at the moment. It's greenlit an animated Ghostbusters movie.
James Wan is in talks to direct a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon.
An animated anthology series called Secret Level is in the works from Tim Miller. The series will be original short stories set within video games, including New World, Splunky, and some PlayStation titles.
Then production has officially begun on Joachim Trier's Sentimental Value, starring Renate Reinsve, Stellan Skarsgård, Inga Itzbot, Lilis, and Elle Fanning.
And Nick Cage is to play NFL icon John Madden in David O. Russell's next film. I'm sure that one is going to go down quite well.
Because I don't know if you saw that, but there was a recent press tour quote from George Clooney that he's never going to work with I quote, miserable fuck like David O. Russell ever again.
Jesus.
He is hated in the industry, and I feel like there's definitely a reason. So this could be quite explosive, you know, if he bumps up against Nick Cage. Speaking of Nick Cage and Longlegs director Osgood Perkins, he has a new film that already has a trailer out. I feel like they are definitely capitalizing on the hype and Lachlan's ability to make imitate monkeys clapping. What are they called? Like the bells?
Symbols?
No, they're not called bells. What?
Symbols?
Dumbbells or dimbles.
Symbols?
Together? Dimples, yeah. I don't have dimples, but I have dimples. But in the monkey, we get a bit of a symbols. I don't know. I just
you kept saying dimbles. I kept saying symbols, and I'm just like, dude, are you hearing
dim
me?
sum? You hungry? Am I hungry?
I was like,
dim
my
sum?
accent is not that thick, bro.
No, it's actually like through time conversion through Discord. It's actually, you know, it's different. The D's are S's, or the S are D's. But The Monkey, we got a first trailer for that one. And it follows twin brothers as they find their father's old monkey toy in the attic, but then gruesome deaths begin to occur. It's a Stephen King adaptation as well. So yeah, Lachlan, first teaser, are you intrigued? Obviously not on the same level as Longlegs teaser wise, you know, so far at least, but yeah, you interested?
Yeah, I'm keen. I will happily watch anything that Osgood Perkins is going to be coming out with. Until he lets me down, I feel like he might have an M. Night Shyamalan career ahead of him.
Because didn't he do the Hansel and Gretel film as well? And I hated
Gretel
that
and
one.
Hansel, thank you very much.
Sorry. Oh yeah. It's woke. It's woke. It's the other way around. Okay.
It's the other way around.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, that movie wasn't really good and had nothing to do with the order of the naming convention there. But I guess Hansel and Gretel, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So if you do Gretel and Hansel, you'll get served in front of like, at least in the search engines, you should appear before Hansel and Gretel if you say Gretel and Hansel. So for SEO purposes, it's a great choice. But speaking of things you can do to improve our SEO performance, you can leave a like on YouTube, subscribe maybe, and leave a rating, whatever that may be, over on Spotify, wherever you're listening to us or watching us. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to support us even further, then you can use the link below for Amazon to get some stuff through it. I think we've made enough money from it so I can like buy myself and Kev a coffee at Venice. Not the accommodation though. We're so far off from covering that, but hey, we'll take the coffee gladly. So thanks for those who support us indirectly through just like getting stuff, and we get a kickback from it. But Lachlan, let's get to the stuff that we've been watching this week. And you've been a bit of a good old Alien boy, catching up on a favorite of yours?
Yes. You can say that.
Prometheus
I think you can say that, yeah. So I was very hyped for Alien Romulus. I am a massive fan of the Alien series and all of that it includes. Here is one of my box sets of the Alien versus Predator series. I love everything about them, and I'll get into it a little bit, but I love Prometheus because, well, fuck me, we're into an hour into this recording and we're just getting into what we've been watching, so I'll go over this quite quickly, okay?
Oh no, I broke my thing.
Oh man, you're losing some fans.
It's not a joyride anymore. Sorry, yeah.
I love Prometheus. I love where they went with it. I love the fact that Ridley Scott was like, I'm going to tell a story about creation and our life and how life is created and our place in the universe. And I was so ready for this, and I wanted so much more, but so many fucking people wanted more xenomorphs. So we got Covenant, which was more xenomorph heavy and less philosophical, and I was way less into it, and I think I really hated it at the time because I was really keen for this sick sort of like couple movie prequel to this world that I love, and it's all oh man, just fantastic. And I will still stand that I think Prometheus and Covenant are the best looking Alien movies
we'll fight on
in
that.
the series. I think that they have some of the best landscapes.
Cost-wise? What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well, I guess location-wise, I don't know. Romulus, I feel like looks super clean, but we'll get into fighting a bit later.
Okay. I just think that location-wise, it's fantastic. I think it lands all of the whatever his name is, W.H. Grieger. Whoever designed the xenomorph look,
Geiger,
I love just the look of the spaces in Covenant and in Prometheus. I especially love and we'll get into this a lot with Romulus, but the body horror of Covenant, especially with the
pretty
chest
brutal.
burster, and it's very brutal, and I think that it's a lot more modernized than what I saw in the past. I felt like Covenant, I was just shitting on it because I wanted it to be more Prometheus. I didn't care that there was not that many xenomorphs because I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. But look, I
gave it a 7 out of 10 on the rewatch. Not bad. You liked it quite a bit.
I love Prometheus. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think Fassbender is fantastic as well. In both of these films, and I've kind of forget as well with Prometheus, like it is
crazy cast.
Like Fassbender, Charlize Theron, Idris Elba, Guy Pearce. Wild. Just huge cast, and I love that. So, yeah. And I mean, I can say the same for Covenant as well. There's a massive cast in Covenant with Danny McBride, and Guy Pearce is in it for a brief moment, and James Franco, who pops up for one moment, no lines, and then burns, and I think that Ridley Scott knew what he was doing. But no, I I like these two movies, and I hate that people, and I guess it's a special place in my heart with Alien, because I really like all of the Alien movies. It's kind of my guilty pleasure.
Yeah. I would say the 7 Alien movies, not including the Alien versus Predator movies, I don't think there's a bad Alien movie.
Alien 3.
Out of all 7 of them. I think they're not. I know it's controversial. It's an unpopular opinion. I don't like even the Resurrection. I feel like there's redeeming factors to all of them. I enjoy all of them, which is maybe why I like Romulus more than others, because I don't mind it. I just really like it.
I put Resurrections above 3. I like Resurrections. Yeah, I like if you forget about the fact that they are horror sci-fi, and you just kind of make them, and the worst part is they get, the way I like to say is like, it wasn't 2000s, it was 90s, but it was like 2000ified. Like, you know, when like the late 90s, early 2000s, and I love to describe it with horror movies. Late horror movies of the classic icons of like Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. Those characters were very terrifying in their first film, and then they became less scary, and it became about fighting that creature, right?
Yeah.
And you get that with the later Alien series. You get more aliens,
but with
aliens, get more guns, you get more of them. But Aliens is an exception, because you get a lot more hardcore with it in Resurrections, especially with like leaning down on the fucking ladder and just bwop, 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 like it gets way too crazy. But I love it. I love the shitification of the series, and I love where Alien versus Predator goes as well. I don't fucking care. The wildness of those series was just so much fun. But I love the philosophical side that they decided to go with for Covenant and Prometheus. I'm just a little bit disappointed that I think it was meant to be a trilogy, and I think they wanted to do a trilogy, but I don't think Covenant was that successful, and probably Ridley Scott just got bored and was like, nah, fucking, I'm not doing another one. And the only other thing I watched this week was Deadpool and Wolverine. It's the only other thing that I watched. I went and watched it again in cinemas, and I gave it half a star less this time.
All right. Wait, where were you at before? 3.5?
3.5. I gave it a 3.
Yeah. I feel like 3 is really appropriate for that, and I just had a great time all around. If I rewatched it and had to sit through it again, I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10.
There were some jokes I caught on the second time that I thought were a lot funnier, but there were a lot more moments that lost its charm. I still will admit the moments of like the opening credits are a lot of fun. I still think the closing credits are actually a really good moment as well. I think that a lot of the action sequences are still quite good, and a lot of the core jokes are there, but some of it, like when you watch it a second time, I was definitely more into like the narrative standpoint, and it just, not fantastic. Other than that, was good. Ewan, go through your already... Is this a separate list of... is this a different document for all your movies you've watched, Mike? Oh, no, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
It's 13 gigabytes. No, because we're already so far in, and as you can see, there's a big chunk of Alien Romulus discussion coming up. I'm gonna, even though there's like 10 titles here, I'm just gonna give you a thumbs up and down, not even anything more. You get the poster and nothing else. So Kneecap gets a thumbs up, The Fugitive a thumbs up, It Ends With Us a thumbs down. Cuckoo, I guess I gotta go with somewhere in the middle there. Treasure, I didn't like it that much. One Fast Move, also thumbs down. Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earth Part 2, also thumbs down. Watchmen Chapter 1, also thumbs down. Dandelion, a thumbs up. Janet Planet, it was somewhere in between. And The Union, big old stinker. A bit more I do have to say about Daughters, which is this Netflix documentary that played at Sundance and was was picked up by Netflix. So it's not technically a Netflix documentary, but it's basically about this program where incarcerated dads who are struggling to keep out of prison, maybe with sometimes just like shorter sentences, but they keep getting sent back, or even ones that have like upcoming 30 years that they have to serve in prison, like putting them into a program where they get to have a like father-daughter dance and a moment alone with them when prison really prevents you to have any sort of physical just like touch with your family members, which is so incredibly cruel, like beyond just like punishing, I guess, for what they've done by like putting that trauma onto their children. And it's just like, it's not productive overall to reintegrate them once they've served their sentence. And it's a documentary, it's not a spoiler, but like it ends with a closing note of like 95% of people who have been a part of this project in the first 12 years have not gotten back into prison. So it's like, it really gives them a drive to what they are working towards, because it like, you get a push, you get at least something back when you feel like the world is against you. And I found it touching. Like, if you can get through this movie or this documentary without like at least shedding a couple of tears, dude, you must be like, I don't know, made of stone. I found it incredibly moving, and I can very much recommend it. It's, to me, a lock. This is definitely getting like at least a bit more of a spotlight once it gets nominated for an Oscar, which it will 100%. Like at this moment, it's probably the front runner, but yeah, definitely don't miss out on Daughters, which I just realized that's a weird sentence to say. And then, Jesus Christ. And then Jackpot over on Prime with John Cena and Awkwafina, 2 stars that might have gotten a bit too oversaturated with their comedic style in here, with a comedy about like a person who comes into LA to make it as an actress, and everything, comedy and action is cut so quickly where no one actually talks, but they speak in one-liners. And it's so incredibly cringy. Doesn't do Awkwafina any favors, because I feel like she's horribly unfunny in all of these films that she's done in the last couple of years. But John Cena kind of works at times because he is like this big hulky dude, so he can play the over-the-top like wrestle stuff, and it kind of makes sense that it is so over the top. But it's essentially like you win a lottery and then everyone has to kill you. If you survive until like sundown, you get like a couple $1 billion. And so everyone's out to kill you, because if they kill you without guns though, because that would escalate and the budget would be higher, they get the money. And that's a premise. It's a pretty silly one. I didn't find the action, the comedy, anything interesting. So yeah, I can't recommend it. And then I do want to shout out a smaller production here, a local one, not a local one, but you can catch it locally at a cinema here in Zurich, the Filmpodium, a Cuban documentary called Landrian that has a special introduction there. They've asked me to, I guess, give it a quick shout out. I had a look through the shorts and the documentary that they're playing on the 21st of the month. So that's still a couple of days away when this episode comes out. So if you're interested, go give that a watch. It's like basically a history lesson on an artist, on a filmmaker. And I kind of like this approach to documentaries where it's not a biopic and it dramatizes stuff, but it basically, when the documentary uncovers maybe something more and shines a spotlight on someone where in corners where you maybe wouldn't have looked, and it's not just to exploit maybe the popular moments of what people are like striving towards, but looking at an artist, I feel like can be really interesting, and I think it worked in this film. So shout out to that. Go give it a watch and tell them I sent you. And then lastly, I prepared a bit for Alien, watched Alien and Aliens again, and actually watched a couple more of Fede Alvarez's films. I think, Lachlan, you've seen Don't Breathe, right?
Yes.
I thought that was decent. It's like the thrills in it are like the story itself is like, there's something about like the tension building that he does quite well. And you can see that like he gets to do it just on a larger scale in Alien, in Romulus. And yeah, I liked it, like a 3 out of 5. I also watched another one that he did, The Girl in the Spider's Web, and I saw that one got like quite shitty reviews, and I can understand it. It does feel like a David Fincher clone, and it led me to believe and add to my notes for Romulus that maybe also all the critiques that are coming Romulus's way is that Fede Alvarez is a better imitator than he is a creator. And that's fair. that critique is fair because a lot of his early stuff, like even Panic Attack, which was the one that kind of launched him to get to do that Evil Dead remake, which is super bloody. Didn't love it, but all of the Evil Dead movies are kind of good, so it's like the weakest for me, but still really bloody, serious, good horror. That one was like independently produced short film, 5-minute short film. Like that reminds you a lot of like I don't know, Attack on Titan and that type of stuff. Although it came out in 2009, so I don't know what came before. I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting to look at his filmography. There's like one thing that I haven't seen of his yet. That's like this mini series. Of phone calls or something like that. Interesting filmmaker. He has his ups and downs. I do think that Alien Romulus is a big up though. So let's talk about that in full-on spoiler fashion. We are not holding back to chat about the 9th entry in the Alien franchise, 7th in the mainline, 9th in if you include Alien versus Predator as well. So yeah, what can we expect, Lachlan?
While scavenging the deep ends of a derelict space station, a group of young space colonizers come face to face with the most terrifying life form in the universe.
Disney.
Chris Pratt.
Plus.
Oh, damn it. Fuck.
We had 2 jokes ready.
We had 2 jokes ready.
Get out of here. In space, no one can hear you scream.
No one can hear you scream.
Like, even the tagline, right? It's in space, no one can hear you scream. That's the tagline for this one over on Letterboxd. If you go to the original movie,
isn't it the same thing? In space, no one can hear you scream.
Yeah, so in both of these films, right, the tagline is exactly the same, and it feels like that type of film, that type of fan service has been the biggest critique of the film coming out. I've seen it a bit ahead of like everyone else giving it their reactions. I didn't mind all of that stuff at all. So we'll get into a heated discussion from someone who really loved the film, puts it up there alongside like the best of the franchise, and someone who liked it maybe a bit less than I. I don't know how much Lachlan doesn't like this film yet, because he has refused to share anything with me, even off recording. We're gonna talk spoilers straight away. This whole review is going to be spoiler filled. I feel like there's more than enough. I do have a spoiler free review over on my own channel. Finally got back to doing those again, or at least one of them, so check that out. But Lachlan, I don't want to waste any time. Let's get straight into the meat of it. What did you think of Alien Romulus?
When I left the cinema, I gave it 4.5.
Okay, wait, you're kidding me. That's your girlfriend who gave it 4.5. So
yes, she did. She gave it 4.5. I asked her independently, and I said, after every movie we go and see, I turn to her and I go, okay, cool, how many stars? And she will tell me. I said, I think I would like to agree. However, that is my initial straight out of the cinema thoughts, and that was me not wanting to actually process anything. Because I think that the film from a entertainment standpoint is phenomenal. I think that if you do not look deeply at the film, this film is fucking fantastic. I think if you look closely at the film, it does suffer from some issues, but I think overall, if you are just going in for pure entertainment value, this film will deliver. I am not someone who likes jump scares. This film has,
you mentioned that last week, and I was so
relies
worried.
Heavily on jump scares. Now, what I can say is Fede Alvarez, he can do tension. He can build tension. And I think that from a tension building standpoint and how you felt standpoint, I think he builds it super, super well. I just unfortunately do not like being just jump scare. And a lot of the time, I wasn't actually scared by jump scares because I know the tricks of how they're built up and how they pay off. And I was pretty much calling them on almost all of them. There was maybe 1 or 2, the one right at the end that got me because it comes out of nowhere and I wasn't actually expecting it. And there was another one earlier on that got me, but I feel like I didn't get jump scared that much. But I will admit that the feeling that he builds with the characters themselves of them being scared, I think is fantastic. And I think that it's because they initially take the Alien formula and they flip it. And the first moment I realized that was it's one of the first Alien movies that open up not
outside of space.
Well, no, it opens up on the actual space station, right? That's the initial opening sequence of like the title card, right? It opens up with them bringing in the alien onto the ship, and I think it's a really beautiful sequence. But it's one of the first ones that open up, and you're on a ground, right? You're on a planet. And I'm not talking about Prometheus and Covenant here, but because obviously they open up on Earth. But with this one, you open up on a colony. That's a place that's already been colonized, right? So you get to see like what it's actually like on a colonized planet, not people going to colonize a place, actual colonized planet, not space marines, an actual colonized planet. And the first character you meet is actually quite kind to an android, which is super strange, right? In all of the other ones, there's this hostility towards androids, especially if you watch the likes of Covenant, Prometheus. They're looked down upon. If you look throughout the series as well, they're not looked highly upon. They're definitely. But it's
after the first one.
Yeah,
because it's established they betray you.
And with this one, it's different immediately. There's this relationship, and then that relationship flips, and I think that's a really interesting character dynamic that they have between Rain and Andy, Kaylee Spaney's character, and David Johnson's character. And I think that they both do a fantastic job carrying you through the entire thing. I was less enthusiastic with the rest of the cast because I kind of knew they were just plot points waiting to be murdered.
Yeah.
So personally, I felt that the rest of the cast, as soon as one of them falls pregnant, I was like, yep, you're dead. As soon as I saw that one of them was praying, I was like, yep, you're dead. As soon as I didn't really care about the stubbornness of Bourne, I was like, yeah, whatever, this guy's reckless, he's gonna die. I could kind of tell they're all gonna die. The only one I thought they might have survived was actually Tyler. I actually thought that he might survive. It might be like a two-person, but he dies.
His death is also one of the downfalls of the third act because it doesn't show it properly. And I think it's a bit disappointing that even because it also is unclear when obviously full in spoilers here right already is that he can't shoot, but he has an outburst as if he's about to hurt an alien, but he doesn't do anything. So it feels weird for him to exclaim at the end before he dies. So, and then it's also not addressed. They immediately move past that.
And there's blood falling down the chute afterwards, so it indicates that he's dead. These are some of the flaws, because I think for me, if you look back on the film, the narrative is actually one of the worst parts of this film. And I don't say narrative as in how the characters go throughout the story. I actually don't really have a problem with that. I kind of just have a problem with
how the conflict is presented.
Not much happens between a lot of the characters. Yeah, and it's kind of boring. It's mostly a survival horror, right? The genre is survival horror, but this film definitely leans in and out of body horror and just survival horror. I think it really should have, because my problem with the third act is it completely switches into body horror, and there's the survival horror aspect, but it really switches into survival horror, and it really just into body horror, and it's just oh, okay, but then it immediately switches away from body horror back into survival horror because you see this creature. And my favorite thing about Alien is you don't see the alien for so long, and you don't know what it looks like, and that's one of the best parts about Alien, right? You see little bits of it, and with this film, there's not a lot of the xenomorph, which is unfortunate because I thought there was going to be a little bit more. There's a lot of face huggers, which is a lot of face huggers. Like there seems to be more face huggers than there are actually fucking xenomorphs. And then immediately it's replaced with another creature, which I have a weird love-hate for.
It's his stamp on adding something new to the mix, which I don't know if that goes over well. I like that he does something different with it. There's no overarching theme though for that to be there, to justify being there. I didn't. The thing is, for me, a lot of people are criticizing like the first 2 acts to be a snooze fest, and I don't know if we watched the same movie or if you were on like Xanax or what the fuck was happening to a lot of people who criticize this. I think the first 2 acts are so tense and so thrilling. Like, I was just completely confused by the reactions of a lot of people on how much they were hating on the film. I get the parts that like include Ian Holm and like the I am mistakenly called it de-aging when he passed away in 2020, so he must have been like some kind of deepfake thing. Like, he's credited for his facial and vocal for reference there, for vocal reference, which is very iffy, and I don't like the way that the story doesn't need him, and it feels such a unnecessary part of the story. But I disagree with like a lot of takes of what people have had over the last couple of days in this film.
Can we kind of figure out, because like I would say first act is them getting to the space station, and then the second act is the
facehuggers. As soon as the facehuggers,
yep,
they get attacked by the facehuggers,
all the way until they get back onto the ship. And then would you say like the last part is like quick third act, or would you kind of say it's sort of, because Alien always has that last little hoorah right at the end.
Yeah, no, that's the fourth act. Alien famously has the fourth act.
So let's so let's just say third.
The third act starts. The third act is when everyone is dead besides Andy, Tyler, and Rain. So I feel like that's where the third act starts.
It took me a while to get into the film because I actually think the first part of the film
Kay is also
a little bit slow. Well, not slow, but like a little bit just dull. The problem I had was I don't know if it was just me, but there is, or if it was just my screening or whatever, because I remember there was a particular film that had a bad audio mix or something like that. But either way, I couldn't hear a ton of dialogue that was happening in the first act because of maybe the sound design, but there are a lot of conversations that were happening where I was like, I need fucking subtitles on because I can't hear what they're saying over the sound of all of these fucking noises of ships and shit taken off whilst they're on the planet. And I feel like I was missing out on quite a lot of key dialogue setting up the relationship between Rain and Andy. And for me, that also kind of spilled out through the rest of the film. There were also moments where it felt like I couldn't hear what the characters were saying over certain sound effects also going on at the same time. So I felt to me there was a bit of an audio mix problem, or if it was just my screening, I'm not sure. But I feel like I missed out on quite a bit. So I actually don't like the first part of this film more than anything else. I actually think the moment they get on the space station is top class. I fucking love facehuggers. They are fucking terrifying little things, and they are creepy as fuck. And to have the sort of body horror aspect of it, of where they kind of shove it down your throat, has always been terrifying. But to see that a little bit more on screen, dude, this was a fairly packed cinema. I felt a lot of people move in their seat at that moment when you have the facehugger ripped out of the throat, and also when it's going down the throat as well. And these are the elements that I'm really liking. I'm really liking where it's going. It's showing you more. It's giving you more. And it's really nailing that horror aspect, and then it also really intertwines the action aspect, because I fucking like I skipping forward a little bit, I love the moment where she's just firing the gun, right? And then it's a moment of zero gravity. I loved that sequence. I really fucking loved that sequence. Everything from the ship getting on to getting off the ship, I was in for. I loved it.
I really liked the establishing of them on the colony, and how she like cares for her brother, and I really like that part. I guess I can see where that part of it is boring when you expect an alien film.
I should say this as well. I have no problems with the performances. I have no problem with any performance, even with the characters that were just cannon fodder. I actually don't have a problem with any of the performances. I think
they were all really
these
good.
Characters were just boring.
I didn't have that issue either. I don't know. Maybe I'm just built different.
Maybe you're watching a different movie.
Did not see. Yeah, maybe Disney showed us something else because it's either a trade show. Maybe they turned up the blandness.
So tell me an interesting element to Rain's character. Give me something good about
I think it's
Rain.
like like her smartness. I don't know what you're talking about. Like her adapting, coming up with the solutions to stuff, figuring out how to surviving. Like what about this was that too? I don't know. Did it feel like, oh, she definitely saw the original movies and like that's fan service and she's referencing stuff?
It felt like she
oh my
knew the
god,
answer
make
to
it
everything.
cold.
Without any okay, I say I love the middle part, but when you're going through that room of face huggers, so what happens if we just turn up the heat? That answer came too quickly.
But you mean like there's no reason for her to know that
there
would
is
help?
no, at least from again the setup of her character in the first part, which I'm probably missed some stuff. There was nothing set up to make it seem like she was extremely
someone who's quick to adapt.
Now, yes, she can fucking restart her Android. So what? If my iPhone needs a fucking restart, I also press up, down, and hold the power button to hard restart it. Like, that
part wasn't what made her smart. It's like
So tell me a moment in the start of the film that made her go, "Yep, she knows the answers to fucking." Everything.
Unfortunately, not early into the film. Maybe I'm too much of a Katie Spaney fanboy that I don't
think you're
care. I just
right
like
now.
it. I'm unafraid and I will embrace
this
it. So
is
go
me
fuck
with
yourself.
Ryan Gosling in movies.
Yeah, I think she's amazing in this. Like I like when she does that performance, I believe her. And even if maybe it's not perfectly set up in the story, I don't care. I don't need to set up in I don't know. I was like I'm looking at this is a great lead character who's capable of stuff, and I don't need like an explanation flashback. This is me back in the mine solving problems. Oh my god, maybe we can heat it up. Like I don't need that. That feels like so dumb.
You don't need that, but you need something at least to make it seem like she's able to adapt. Like, give me a moment. Like, don't give me, oh, yeah, you're stuck on this thing for another 2,500 hours. Like, no, give me a problem that she has to solve in the beginning.
Them figuring out that, they only, like, see you based on sound that you make, on your, like, warmth level. Yeah, them figuring that out was, I don't remember how they figured it out, or if she's like, oh no, was it Rook who tells them?
No,
can't remember.
I'm pretty sure
Tyler?
Andy says, because Andy downloads it, right? Because he speaks to Rook beforehand, and then he talks to, and then he's like, oh yeah, they can see like this. And she goes, so what happens if we just raise the temperature of the room? They won't be able to see you, right? Which is like, if I'm honest, it made for a really tense scene, and I really enjoyed the scene as a whole.
Yeah,
like,
I don't care for it's a good scene. How we get there? Like, who cares how we get there?
No, but it's a problem with the character. Then you can't just tell me Deus Ex. You just can't have the answers. You have to work for them. You have to come up with them, right? Like. You're telling me
how
that...
about we Nepo baby our way through the world?
That Ripley went through 4 different movies, and at no point she was like, we should just turn up the heat. We should just turn up the heat. And even as smart and intelligent and mechanically designed as she was in 4, right? How is it that she could not figure out, just turn up the heat. Just turn it up. So my problem is the characters themselves never feel like they have a thing. Like in all of the other Alien movies, you have a pilot, you have a geologist, you have X, Y, and Z. They all have a background in something. So when they say something, it's like, okay, cool, this person has a science background, and they kind of get it. Rain is just a fucking orphan. You telling me she's fucking Batman?
No, what they bring is the desperation of like being young and wanting a better life for themselves. Okay. They're all orphaned, they all fucked.
That's their motivation. Their motivation is to escape, and I give it to them. And their motivation is to escape the planet as well.
It's not. It's like the dynamic is different, and maybe they could have explored that even more. But I feel like that ties into like family and friends and how adjacent Andy is to that. Once he changes and prioritizes not them over like whatever the mission is, and goes like G2G and Android mode and Andy Android, but then Rain going back for him by the end, because sticking up for him and taking him alongside the trip, even if she knows that she can't even go to the place with him. Like I found that whole narrative was enough for me to really think that her character came together, and I liked where it came and went between those two. It's a bit unfortunate for Tyler's demise, but I like that core thing between them. I really enjoyed it. So
in terms of then maybe like setups, right? So one of the setups that I thought they were going to do, and this is going towards the end of the film, was with that mouse. That mouse turned into a xenomorph-esque character of the mouse. Yeah. Right? So I
just thought that Kay would turn into it, right?
So I thought Kay would turn into it, which felt like a setup, right? That you would agree that felt like a setup.
She turns into a kangaroo, and her baby is in her patch. That would be cool. Sorry, Australian thoughts. He doesn't like it.
Where did you even get that from?
She's pregnant, and kangaroos are sometimes pregnant. They do have to pouch.
So is every other mammal.
Well, that's just a skill issue if you don't have a pouch.
Except the platypus. Okay. Anyway, but that setup feels like it's super forgotten about. And it's kind of like, here is this other creature instead of Kay becoming... Because so my brain then goes, all right, cool. This is how they're going to link that... like Alien Covenant Prometheus sequence into it, other than just the fucking jar with the liquid, because obviously they have that really crazy like spikes coming out the back, and I was like, oh dude, give me the craziest body horror ever. Instead, they just made the greatest like contraceptive ad of all time of how terrible and horrifying pregnancy is and birth by birthing out this egg, and blood goes everywhere, so like, you know, we could just probably play this in schools and it will stop people from, you know, children from getting pregnant. Because we're
having sex with facehuggers.
Like, yeah. So they have that creature.
But it's also no. It's also an anti-drug ad, because like drugs.
Oh yeah, don't just inject shit, right? Drug babies. It's a perfect drug baby, right? So then that creature is formed, and that becomes the next villain, and then Kay's transformation is ultimately just forgotten about. Because
I mean, she gets just killed by her baby.
But like that transformation would have been way more terrifying to show, because that character doesn't have much to do, right? But wouldn't it be terrifying for her to become this creature, and then Rain, who has been so supportive of her this entire time, has to then take this creature down instead of just this random baby Slenderman-esque character that comes to life. Because as cool and crazy as that creature was, and I have to admit, I liked it because they have done some crazy hybrid xenomorphs. That one is the most terrifying visually, but they shouldn't have shown it as quickly. I know they have to wrap up the film, but the less you show, the more horrifying
pretty fast as well.
It's crazy how fast that thing grows
big it is.
Quicker than the xenomorph. The xenomorph takes a couple hours at least, where that one was just up and running, which again, from a narrative standpoint, this film is not that well thought out when it comes to narrative. Things do jump quite quickly, and why the fuck, again, just before we continue on, I know you want to move on, but here's another narrative thing, right? Well, all of a sudden, there's a billion xenomorphs. Where were they at the start of the film? That was the characters at the before in this space station. Where were they beforehand? Narrative, plot issues. There we go. This film has plot issues.
Yeah, the xenomorphs at the end there. I feel like I like the moment there. That's one of the moments where I'm like, the setup doesn't justify the moment, and the moment isn't sick enough for me to ignore that. Like, where did all of these xenomorphs come from? Obviously, they have them on the walls there, like similar to how they get Kay out there, and they would still be hung up. There's also a moment where like we cut back and forth between Navarro and Kay when as the first like kill happens with her, and it's a bit like weirdly cut together where it's unclear what Kay does for no reason. What I wanted to ask you is like, do you think a lot of this is attributed back to Fede Alvarez not getting the vision on the narrative level correct, or do you think there's a lot of like studio notes from 20th century from Disney to package this a certain way? Like, where do you think the issues lie here? Just out of speculation, because we have no idea yet, obviously.
Issues in what, sorry? The narrative?
All the shortcomings that maybe you could see, like, they could be easily fixed. Because there's a couple of things that could be pretty easily fixed if they just like had taken care on some of your critiques, like, right? They're not like unfixable problems at the core of the film.
How can you fix? Okay, it's not like a okay.
Maybe let's ask Rain, because she has the solutions to everything. He's like a real Dora the Explorer who was played by Isabella Merced.
I think that ultimately they don't have to worry about the film's narrative if you nail the feeling, because as I said, I walked out of this film pretty positive, and I think that the actual technical standpoint, like I wasn't blown away by the cinematography, I wasn't blown away by the score, I wasn't blown away by the characters. They were kind of just there. The performances were great, but the things that brought the film together were all just, they were good. Like nothing was actually terrible in this film until you start to actually put them together and be like, actually, maybe not. That's not how this actually works. I think that it's okay in that sense. I think it's okay for that to happen. I don't think there's like an ultimate fix other than just rewriting the narrative, because it has all of the elements to be honestly, it has all of the elements for me to really, really enjoy this film. The only thing it needs to do is to be more philosophical, and then it's like my favorite alien movie of all time. But like, I honestly don't have too many problems with it.
Oh my god, this is the first time, Lachlan, do you realize that you want more philosophical sauce? He wants more sauce. Philosophical. He wants all of that. He wants more deep shit. And I just want more shoot, bang, bang.
Yeah.
This is a first.
Honestly, I really want to rewatch this movie again.
Yeah, me too. I think I'll come down on it a bit, but yeah.
I don't think this film is my favorite of the year. I still think that there are films that have a lot better of a narrative and a lot better of a technical achievement, especially when it comes to the horror side. But what I probably will say is I probably would have to come down on my Prometheus score, because I think that this is probably one of the best modern alien movies we've ever gotten.
Let's go. He said it. He said it.
There's a lot of issues with it that I think I have to overcome, because there is so much set up in this universe, right? There is so much set up in this universe of how everything works that, how the fuck have we not already come up with just make the room hotter? Or how have we not come up with
She never uses it, and technically the information was around if Andy is privy to it. Yeah.
I don't even give a fuck about Rook coming back. I don't give a fuck about de-aging him, or not de-aging him, but
deep faking,
deep faking him and having that, because
it's a bit icky.
You could get rid of it and it would be fine. Like, you don't need, like, you can just have all the information on the fucking chip. He learnt about some of the stuff just by putting the chip in his head, but you're like, no, we have to bring back this legacy character.
It doesn't need to be him. It could be a different android, right? It doesn't need to be him. Because I don't know, it's not like only his android model would be the one that's like, doing all of these alien missions. There's plentiful. You just need to download the data. And it's not like he's also not reprising the same role, right? Is it the exact same character from Alien that returns in this?
No, it's just
Rook.
Yeah, but you don't need to, right? Like, why not just have Michael Fassbender's David or Walter? David? Yeah, Walter or David.
He's too terrifying. Dude,
just have him rock up. Have him be a DA.
The thing is, in those movies, I guess, slight spoiler for Prometheus and Covenant, at least in Prometheus, he kind of, it's like a bad ending in a way, right? They don't, like, they kind of lose. He's the antagonist.
You can have that as a robot. You can have a robot that does that, right? Because they have all the data from the Nostromo about what happened on it, right? So why can't they have the information about what happened on Prometheus? It's Wayland. Wayland has all the information about what happens. They're just covering it up.
Wayland's stock has to be so fucked. Like what I thought, which is the weirdest thing to think about while I was in the theater, is like, okay, invest. In this intergalactic universe, do they have stock traits that happen within one planet, or is it intergalactic, or how do they keep their stock prices? Because they got to be fucked from all of the shit that always goes down on their missions. So
yeah, but like you could just like, I don't know, like. They know that they need to have... some people are calling it nostalgia bait. I don't think there is nostalgia bait at all. No. I think it's them just trying to link the characters back into it. And I think that there's part of that with, you know, lines like, get away from her, you bitch. Or... like,
which is... I feel like that the biggest critique from there is as well that, like, that is something that happens canonically after this movie in the timeline.
Yeah.
Which...
makes no sense. But for us as an audience,
well, it's also,
it's fun.
I thought it's just like a fun. I obviously knew that she was saying that. I was like,
is that in 102? Did you just say there was a plot hole?
What do you mean? There's a plot hole?
Well, obviously, chronologically, one happens in a.
That's not a plot hole. It's just like someone says the same thing.
Yeah, but they make a moment.
It wouldn't be because then it would. No, it's not a plot hole. It would be fourth wall breaking.
Okay, so then would you say the same thing about the close up of Rain, where she's looking to the side? There's an alien right there. Would you say that's also fourth wall breaking?
Alien free appreciation? No, not at all. That's just framing.
Okay,
and
so
they also
would it have
did that
also
framing
been
before.
that if Andy was to then like hook his legs on the ladder and then shoot down at the aliens? Like,
all right, now you're alien resurrection. Okay,
look, I said I love the action. I love the horror side of it. I don't like how it chops and changes what kind of horror it wants to be. It should have stuck with either the body horror and kept the alien away.
I think that's a Fede problem. Yeah,
and
I think it isn't studio stuff because he does that in other movies too.
He's great with making things feel like what they need to feel, but I think that he can't really nail something its entire way.
Yeah. Don't Breathe has that same problem of like, it has so many great elements, but it doesn't come together fully. It feels like maybe an imitation of other things and great ideas that are perfectly executed, but there's just something that's missing. Within this universe, because there's so much pre-established lore and history, I didn't care if a lot of it was referencing back to those great moments, because as moments, just like in another film, they're great on their own without just being in reference to something else. It's not like Deadpool saying like the proposal or like, I don't know, like a reference to something else. It feels like thematically I'm still getting an excited moment out of it, not just a reference. And that's why like I don't particularly care as much in this. And maybe other people like do really care whenever there's plagiarism, fucking cancel him. I was like, I don't know. There's a nuanced reaction that you can have that's not just like, oh, something else came before, therefore this is shit. Because it's not wholly... Because like people can't make their own mind up as well about like, they always call for like, okay, it's got to be more like the Alien and Aliens. And then no, it's got to be more like Prometheus, or it's got to be its own new thing. It's like everyone wants something different out of this franchise, which just shows that this universe has a lot to offer. And I stand by. I don't think there's a bad movie in this universe. Like I haven't rated, I think, any of the films in the main 7 under a 3-star.
Can I ask you a question?
So, yeah. Yep.
Why do you think this is the best looking film?
I really love the opening of just like how gray and depressing it is. And I like the shallow use of focus, but not like in the way that a lot of modern films go too shallow on. Like it's so different from how we see it like at 55 or 60 millimeter equivalent of a prime lens, right? That's how we would view it. But sometimes they go down with the f-stop so much that it's so shallow that it looks unreal again. I think it kind of goes in that in between, and then the lighting of like all of it, like the whole space station, the way that it was lit, I really liked it. But I also rewatched the first one, and that movie is probably top 5 best shot movies ever, like easily. So I feel like it's just like it looks clean and great, or like it looks sturdy in the right ways. Although up in the competition of Alien, like Alien probably, maybe it's even top 3 of best shot movies ever. It's like that movie is stunning to look at too. I like the cinematography, and I don't know. It's an easy thing to say. It's the best looking Alien movie. I just want to stir up a bit more because people were mad at my opinion. So like I'm trying to encourage it even more.
I don't think it's the best looking one. I think that it's really well done. I just don't think it's as impressive. God, that's what happens when you record for 2 hours. I don't think it's as impressive as Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Fair. So I'm a bit more of a fanboy of just like whatever new stuff comes out of Alien, and you are sticking with your main boy Ridley, and that I can respect, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Ridley and Ripley, the perfect duo. Yeah, I feel like we've chatted more than enough. There's definitely 20 things that we didn't talk about. Like for example, the kills. I think the kills were kind of fun. Like I liked the one for Bjorn, but it's not like that much. Like that many people who die, or the deaths aren't like crazy, but I really liked it. Yeah, rating wise, you were coming out of the theater with a 4.5 on without further thought after discussing it for like about an hour. Where do you land, Lachlan? Can you?
Look,
do you have a rating yet?
I think I have to. So, like as I said, 4.5 stars when I came out of it. I think that if I was to talk about the film from a technical level, the narrative really lets it down for me. I think that the film has some really fun elements. That's where I think it comes down to like almost a 3-star for me, which is wild. I think that's like a 3-star when it comes to the technical stuff. Because I don't think there was anything fun with the narrative. I don't think there was anything crazy with the cinematography or the sound design or yada 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 yada. I don't know, like a 3.5, 4 maybe. Say your
somewhere
score.
In between there.
Say your score. Say a double feature. Let me think about it for a second.
All right. Well, you got 1 second because I'm at a 4.5, and my double feature is Aliens.
Fuck you. I'm giving
Back
it.
To you, Lachlan.
I'm giving it. I'm gonna give it a 4.
3.5.
A 4.
Okay.
Because I had fun.
I'm closer to.
The problem is I had fun.
I had great fun. Yeah. And
4.
I don't know.
4.
I felt like the discourse was so much about like what not to enjoy about something, and I can't stand it. It's so annoying to me. Like just
I will give it a 5 on the rewatch if I can hear the dialogue better and I don't give a fuck about the narrative. I'll give it a 5.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 5 on the rewatch. How's that? If I can hear the fucking dialogue.
The outrageous comment that I made, that's why I'm like picking Aliens as a double feature, is that I said that it's in my ranking the second highest from the Aliens. And that I like it more than Aliens, and people were saying like, oh, that's a classic. And I don't like the start of Aliens. I think the part of it that is so like obviously poking fun at the military in ways, but also then being infatuated by it. I just like it's like I don't know, that's venomous to me. I can't stand it because I'm very anti-military and all that. So it takes away from that, but then the narrative, and especially the fourth act, in, you know, because all of these Alien movies have a fourth, or a lot of them have. I think Aliens has probably the best fourth act. It's so fun, like with like, get away from me, you, like, all it's great. And I ended up bumping up my rating because I had Aliens at a 4 out of 5, and it came up to a 4.5. And to me, it's a coin toss. Probably Aliens deserves that number 2 spot a bit more than Romulus, if I'm being totally honest. But I'll keep it just so people can stay mad. So stay mad. Lachlan, what about you? What are you picking as double feature?
So I had to think of a movie where they injected themselves with random black goo. And the best I could think of was 2018's Overlord. That's a funny one. I like. That's actually a really good one as well. I picked Overlord because it's quite a lot of fun as well. And I think like it's body horror. It's not fantastic narratively, but it's a lot of fun. Not based on any IP. Just kind of came out, and I actually saw this one in cinemas and I had a lot of fun. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Nah, no, we don't fact check here. It's funny because that director moved on to do Samaritan and then The Pope's Exorcist, which are pretty bad movies.
Sorry, brother.
But Overlord is quite fun. I think it has the same problem of like not having a good narrative overall, but the action and all of that is like super fun. So great double feature pick. But let us know what you thought of Alien and how much the whole franchise, Romulus, whatever you want to talk about. Maybe drop your grocery list and what to do when something in your chest feels weird. it might not be a chest burster, but just a panic attack.
Could just be acid reflux.
It could, yeah. The acid in this movie is also fun. Like, you know, that making that an even more a bigger plot point of like, you know, they can't shoot. It's like it's a great setup. I like it. Anyways, coming out in theaters this week, a couple of titles. First up, we got Blink Twice, the directorial debut from Zoe Kravitz with a stacked cast. In the lead, we got Naomi Aki, but she's invited onto a, I think, private island for a party. Tech billionaire Slater King, played by Channing Tatum, is throwing a party. There's also Christian Slater, Simon Rex, Adria Arjano, Kyle MacLachlan, Haley Joel Osment, Gina Davis. Dude, Jesus Christ, this cast doesn't stop, doesn't quit. I guess that's the connection that Zoe Kravitz can pull for her first movie. Yeah, we'll talk about that next week a bit more extensively, because the other film that's coming out this week, The Crow, doesn't have a Swiss release until I get back from Venice. Yeah, we'll have to wait a bit longer on that. Lachlan, maybe you check it out in the meantime. But that's coming out, the remake of the 90s film. I don't know if it's 94 or when that came out, but that's getting a remake. Luckily, you've seen it in a lot of pre-screenings as trailers. Has that sold you on the film more? Like, are you keen to check it out, or what do you?
No.
Where you stand right now?
I feel like I don't want to see it now because I feel like I've just seen the trailer so many times. Like it's not feeding it to me.
Yeah.
Do I have to go see it for the podcast? Is it going to become a main? Is it becoming a? Do I have to see it?
It's blinked. Nah, I mean, you don't need to see it now in opening week. No.
Okay, no worries.
Just, yeah. And then The Forge is also coming out in wide release over in the States. That's like, I think, one that, if I'm not mistaken, like some faith-based movie. But I'll correct that in the edit if it's not accurate. But there's also Greedy People. That's another bigger release here. A buddy cop film with Himesh Patel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. There's also Lily James in it, and I will watch everything that Lily James in it. The tagline also says finders keepers, and the S's at the end there are $signs. Yeah, that could be a fun one. We'll keep that in mind, but it doesn't have a release for me, but so we'll have to wait a bit longer until it's out on VOD, until we can talk about it. Then there's also the Jason Schwartzman Dandelion film Between the Temples that is coming out in limited release in the States, as well as Close Your Eyes, the film from Victor Eris that I got to see at last year's Zurich Film Festival. He's most known for his film from 1973, The Spirit of the Beehive, that I have yet to catch up on. But that's streaming on the Criterion channel, and Close Your Eyes is out in limited release, a long film, but it went a bit over my head, but you'll definitely get something out of it if you're looking for something. Speaking of looking at something, Rear Window through Fathom Events is having re-screenings, so go watch probably the best Hitchcock film of his like 50 or 52 films that he's made. I'd say it's probably his best, and I've seen about like 40 of them. Then there's a couple of Studio Ghibli films that are getting rescreenings as well. Through Fathom, we got A Whisper of the Heart and The Cat Returns. It's basically like a double feature, because The Cat Returns is a kind of low-key sequel to The Whisper of the Heart. It's probably like at bottom ranking as far as Studio Ghibli goes, but still quite decent. And then for the 20-year anniversary of Shaun of the Dead, we are getting that as a re-release as well. Then out on VOD over the week of the 19th to the 25th, we are getting Green Border out on VOD, as well as Inside Out 2, not on Disney Plus yet, but on premium VOD. Then Oddity, the horror film that came out earlier this month already. I think it was last month, is out on VOD. And then Stress Positions, a COVID comedy film, comedy drama film, is out on Hulu. Hellhole, another horror film, over on Shudder and AMC Plus. And there's the couple of Netflix titles incoming, as well as the first Slam Dunk. We reviewed this one here on the channel, at least in the States, over on Netflix. You can go see that film. We very much recommend it. Preferably, I would rent it in 4K over streaming it over on Netflix, but seems to be the only possibility to go see it right now. Then John Woo is remaking his own film, The Killer, That's coming out over on Peacock this week, as well as The Supremes All You Can Eat, a novel adaptation, the first one of a two-parter, I guess as a sequel to it, over on Hulu. Pachinko over on Apple TV Plus is getting its second season out, and in the first season of City of God, the Fight Rages On, a sequel series, is starting to premiere over on Max. Then in Swiss theaters, you can go see Cuckoo. I thought the movie was a bit of a letdown. Wasn't great. I think it wasn't that interesting. But for those who really like Hunter Schafer, it's probably a must-see. Dan Stevens also, I don't know if he has German roots, but his German in this film is actually pretty good. But yeah, that's that. Nothing else in Australia that I could see. And that brings us to the end. It was a long one, Lachlan. I hope you enjoyed our in-depth discussion of Aliens. It's one of our favorite franchises. If you're still here, definitely go check out our Alien tier list, where we talk about all of the films. And come back next week when we talk about Blink Twice. So thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Bye.